Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye, hello. Wherever you are in the world, one of those will apply to you. But I'm here, and I'm here with Manny from Blue Tinted Glasses for Sloppy Seconds. I don't think we've had Sloppy Seconds. Welcome along, Manny.
No, I think you've had that before plenty of times, Chris. Don't lie,
Hey, I very rarely get to seconds. I'm usually
mate. I'm
terrible thirds or
I'm sure
fifth.
you'd be happy with fourths and fifths, to be honest.
At my age, totally, mate, totally. You can't afford to be choosy, I tell you. Thanks a lot. Welcome along, guys. If you're watching live, get those comments in as we go through the news stories. And if you're listening via your favourite podcast platform, thank you very much as well. And obviously, don't forget, catch up, add your comments below. It is the back pages. I do tune into Pornhub, says Wayne. What you tune into, mate? I mean, I'm not saying anything, Wayne. I'm keeping
It's not
stum.
10 o'clock yet, Wayne. There's still
No,
you've got an hour to go before you tune into that.
well, I'll bear to your superior knowledge on that particular bit of information. Look, I've been away on holiday. Look at that. You see the suntan? I'd show you my white bits, but I don't think you're ready for that. Like you say, it's not 10 o'clock yet. But it means that some of the stories may be a little bit old. I think I've tried to update most of them. I think I had one on a manager situation, and then the day later that changed again. So we'll go through it, and like I say, if they are a little bit old, then say bear with me. As I say, I've been away on that. But let's get it going, Manny. Thank you very much, as I say, for joining us. Now, King Power, it appears, are unable to sack a manager in England, but they're very much able to do it in Belgium. They've sacked OH Leyburn manager Chris Coleman.
I mean, I'm not even sure if I knew he was manager until about 3 weeks ago in the first place.
Not me. I actually saw this on Sky, and I'm thinking, when was he? When did he become manager? You know?
I'm not. To be fair, I'm not really sure what to do with that club. I mean, am I supposed to be a sort of fan of theirs and follow them in the Belgian league and see if there's any good players that we could steal and keep up to date? Because I don't really fancy watching too much Belgian football. To be honest, it's a bit of a struggle.
It is, and I have to say, I mean, it is our sister club, but we were unable to sort of buy any players and from them. They seem to go to Germany, but there was that. Who was that American we bought? We bought an American.
Nathan Opoku.
That's him. That's it. I knew you'd know. He went there. What's happened to him?
He had an ACL. He's like really, 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 really rapid, or was, and then he
Right,
had an ACL, so he basically missed, I think, an entire year basically. And
right.
I've not heard what happened to him since, but he's certainly, I'm a very, very raw player from what I can remember seeing at the time. But I think the plan was to try and get him over to us at some point,
Yeah,
and
well,
maybe that's still the plan.
I thought we had signed him, but then we sent him out for, I presume, for experience in Europe to OHL.
Hmm.
Um, I mean,
Have we ever really used it as a pipeline at all, though? I mean, it's not
no.
as if we're getting three, four, one or two players every year or every few years out of them. So I'm not
Mm,
really sure where we sit with it. They had that apparently quite a talented player that last summer West Ham bid about 15 odd million for. I think
mm.
I think his name's Banzuzi, and he looks like a talented player, but. Surely any talent that they have should be coming over to us, or certainly we were under that impression. But I think that sister club it's a very strange relationship. You can have Strasbourg, giving players to Chelsea, and you're questioning
Mm.
some of the fees, but we don't seem to have any movement on that front. So I don't really know what the situation
No,
is.
what is the point? And apparently, I was also reading midweek, we nearly bought a French club.
Apparently, Vichy was linked with Bordeaux,
Yes, that was it.
and
That was
then there was some basically multiple owner rules that would have been broken. I think that made that not happen.
it.
Actually, I think the Belgian clubs. I mean, it is a useful idea because Belgium has a pipeline to Africa, just like France does with
Mm.
their historical links,
Yeah.
and there's some brilliant African players that come through teams like Genk and a lot of French clubs. And they have.
Indeed, he came through Genk, didn't he?
That's right, and what a brilliant servant he's been. Bilal came from was it Genk as well?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but
It certainly was a Belgian club, so I can't remember them. Liège, I'm not sure which one it was. Standard Liège, maybe. But yeah, it's a good place to look for sort of a pipeline, particularly from the African players coming over to Belgium as a stepping stone to coming to England.
now if I said to you, Manny, there's two managers here. One of them lost 18 out of 20 on the trot and got the team relegated. The other manager got the team into a European qualification place, but just failed to make it into the first round proper. Which of those two do you think would have got sacked?
Uh, Actually, I'm going to be a bit cute with my answer. It all depends on context, doesn't it? It all depends on context. Of course it does, because if a team's expectation was to win the league and they qualified for Europe, having spent lots and lots of money, you'd say that person did a stinking job and deserves to go. If a manager spent zero money, had none of his own players, then you could make a case. Not that I am making that case, by the way,
No.
but you could make that case to saying, look, he's not had any real influence or input. He's working with a terrible team. Any manager in the world, given those circumstances, wouldn't have done significantly better, is the theory. So, yeah, I'm going to be, as usual, a bit smart with my answer and
Yeah.
say it all depends on the context of what the expectation was, what the expenditure was, what the
Just
very situation at that time is.
just be careful that fence doesn't get too firmly stuck up between
Yeah,
your
I
eyes.
know. I know. I
That's
know.
what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Oh no, because obviously the former is Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Hmm.
The latter is Chris Coleman. He took OHL from a team that was a couple of seasons ago, even probably last season, in danger of being relegated, and he took them into a European qualification. He then had to go and play a two-legged, qualification to get through, and he lost those two, and that was enough to get him sacked. And yet, what does Ruud van Nistelrooy have to do to get sacked?
There could be it could be a lot to do with these weird PSR rules that we have here and accounting cycles as well. So look, I mean, we're at 13th of June, and it seems like the year resets at the 30th of June after we submit our accounts. So
Mm,
I think 1st of July, certainly the early part of July, will be if we see movement in Rude, then it was more likely. It was always likely to be then, because the
yeah,
question of when do you want to put down those numbers on your books? Do you want to put them down for this season, and then potentially, if we come back in the Premier League, we might be under pressure again, or do you want to delay it to next year? And if we're going to get punished, you may as well add all of the extra cost to the situation where you're going to get punished anyway. So the rumours are we might get 12 points. Well, you may as well get 14 and get it all out of the way, rather
yeah.
than holding back, having the PSR now, and then when you get back in the Premier League, then you're going to have all of the rude money sackings and his staff, although there's not too many of those, but you'll have that under your Premier League year. So I think it's more to do with an accounting year, in my opinion. That's what I think the difference is.
Yes, yeah, no, I would agree with you. I mean, one of Ruud's assistants has gotten nipped off to Cardiff.
Hey,
Um,
we're getting compensation. Well, I mean, he's under contract, so
yeah,
presumably we're getting some
I
kind.
know, I know. Cardiff, why don't you wait like 2 or 3 weeks? And let's be honest with you, what is the harm in waiting? Because where are the players at the moment? I mean, I've just been speaking to Julian Watts yesterday. Just had Steve Lynix on as well for a show about the players, and they're all either on holiday or with playing international duty. So if the manager was in, then what would he be doing? Because the recruitment team are looking after the recruitment, and we'll come on to that later with the signing of the youngsters. We're not really losing out that much if by hanging on to the 1st of July, are we?
I mean, in an ideal world, you'd want as long to prepare as
Of
possible. I mean,
course, yeah,
we got relegated however many days ago, 40 plus days ago. In an ideal world, you'd start the moment that happens. You'd start planning for the next season, and
yeah,
the problem is it's really difficult to plan when you don't really know what your budget's going to be. And that's also an issue with managers. Any first manager is going to say, like, what's the situation with our PSR? How many points are we going to get? Which players are going to leave? Which players are going to stay?
yeah,
What do I have to work with? And we can't answer those questions at the moment. We don't really know which players are going to leave yet. It's not been clarified. Like you said, they're on holiday. So their agents have probably just said, look, go away for a few weeks. When you come back, we'll get into all this stuff. So if you tried to get your primary target manager right now, maybe he's going to be a little bit reluctant, until the situation's a bit clearer. So
Yeah.
later in the summer, you're going to have a wider pool to choose from, although they'll also have a reduced time to work with that squad. And we know that Enzo, for example, when he came in, it was bang on it straight away. As soon as the players come on, everything's going to be ready. I think he was appointed, if I'm not mistaken, he was appointed on the 13th of June. So he had a couple of weeks prep. The players came back on the first or 2nd of July, and he's straight into pre-season training. This is the system. This is the way I want to do things.
Well,
But the following summer, just to finish, Chris,
yeah.
we had that feeling that we need to appoint someone. We need to appoint somebody, and we ended up panicking a little bit and appointing Steve Cooper, who then did what Enzo did. Use those weeks as preparation. But the difference was that I'm guessing that Enzo they probably had in their mind for quite a while, and Steve Cooper seemed like a bit of a short-term signing. So, in fact, I quite like the fact they're taking a bit of time. It's such an important appointment. Don't rush into anything. Really, 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 really think it through. Don't make the mistake of last summer.
No. Think it through, have a chat, and then go and get Sean Dyche. Interesting because, like you say, on the 1st of July, we could sack Ruud van Nistelrooy and his staff and what have you. And on the 2nd of July, when the players come back in, if they're doing the job right at the club, the new manager might be walking through the door and having his first day when all the players are coming back. We don't know.
We don't know.
But that leads me very nicely on talking about managers, because there has been a lot of rumours and we're losing out on players. Now, I said, did we dodge a bullet with this one? And somebody came back at me and said, well, I didn't. Did Russell Martin dodge a bullet by not coming to us? He's obviously got history with Rangers. I'm looking at that and thinking, you know what, he's taken the easy way out, because he's going to be guaranteed almost certainly to finish second, or if not third. So he's going to get European football for them in some way. They've got new owners, I believe. Look at Brendan Rodgers. He went back up there and won things straight away. It's almost a bit of a cop-out for managers, isn't it?
I don't know about that, Chris, actually, because if you actually think about it, and say if you want to go and get a big job, right, a big job, a job that you can't get today because nobody's paying attention to you, nobody's giving you, you're just achieving, say, mid-table or playoffs in the Championship. You're not getting those opportunities to get to a big club. So they go to Scotland, because whether it's Steven Gerrard winning a title with Rangers or Brendan, Steven Gerrard goes to Rangers. What was the next job after that? Aston Villa. What was Brendan Rodgers' next job? Leicester City. What was Ange Postecoglou's next job?
Yeah.
Tottenham. So, because if you win there, it's a 2-horse race. But if you win that 2-horse race, people say he can win a trophy. He knows how to win a league. He knows how to win a cup. Brendan, he's a winner. That's the mentality. Ange, I win everywhere I go. I win a trophy. So I think Russell Martin's taken that gamble that if I can beat Brendan, then potentially I might be in line for the next mid-table Premier Brentford job, for example, now's come up. Okay, they've just got rid of Thomas Frank finally. I'm sure there's a lot of English managers that would love the job at Brentford, with good owners, lots of money, sensible recruitment and things like that. But they're not going to get that opportunity unless they stand out, and it's really hard to stand out when you're upper Championship or lower Premier League. You're on a firefight all the time. There's so much expectation. Look, Chris Wilder, rumours he's going to get sacked. You lose that playoff final, you're a goner. And where are you? Back to oblivion. So go over to Rangers, 2-horse race. You've just got to beat one team. The fans will love you. The fans will go crazy. You'll feel passionate. And if it works, which is a big if, and I don't think it's going to work for him. I think Brendan's going to have him on toast.
Yeah.
But then you take that gamble. I beat one guy, and then the next job after that is a bigger job than I would have got before.
No, it's a good point, and that's why I love to have you on. Did we miss a bullet here though with him going to Rangers?
Yeah, I think we did. To be
Yeah,
honest,
yeah, yeah.
I really think we did.
Agreed on something. We agreed on something.
Yeah, we did. I would have been disappointed had we gone down that road. Again, I think
Mm,
it shows a real lack of understanding about the depth of the game these days, and
mm.
I think he's got a fundamental weakness in the way he's trying to play. It's not he claims it's adaptive, but I've never seen adaptation in his game. It always appears quite rigid. So when you, I mean, I know he'll disagree with that, and I'd love to have a talk it out with him and show him lots of clips of his own teams. But
Mm.
I think they become predictable. You know what the structure is going to be. It's either going to be A or B, so you can plan exactly where he's likely to get his team, and because they're so religious about it, you can
Yeah,
almost pre-plan what they're going to do, and you can target and isolate certain weaknesses, just like we did under Enzo. Do you remember we beat them 4-1 away and 5-0 at home?
yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of those goals actually came from pressurising the wide areas or the central. It's quite easy, just a three-man press against a three-man defence, and those defenders weren't good enough to handle that, and they crumbled to pieces. Just
yeah,
it was super easy.
yeah.
So I think we definitely avoided.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you on that one. Somebody else that we're not going to have that we were linked with, Lee Carsley. He's extended his contract as England men's under 21s head coach. Um, uh, Wayne's just said, "Thank God there are only rumours from his own agent," as Rob Tanner said. But no, Lee Carsley again. I don't think I'd have been too happy with him.
Another bullet dodged.
Mm.
Under 21 manager for England is so massively overhyped. Tell me one under 21 manager for England who's gone on to have a really good managerial career. Who was a star at under 21 level that went on in the game and did brilliantly?
Well,
Don't say Gareth Southgate. You know, nearly took Middlesbrough down. You know, and lost with with an excellent team. We should have smashed Italy at home. We should never have lost to Croatia. You can lose to Spain, but so negative. Double defensive midfielders, players playing left-footed right backs, and
Did
vice
Southgate
versa.
ever lose to an African team?
No, but there's that. I mean, we did lose to. I mean,
Oh, I'm
some fairly.
playing.
I mean, when it counted, we lost. That's all that matters. I mean,
Yeah,
so I never. I think of A.D. Boothroyd, Stuart Pearce, Peter Taylor. Do you remember Peter Taylor was a England
yeah.
under 21 manager?
No, he was.
Lots of
He was.
hype. You know, oh, what a great coach. He knows how to bring in the kids. Do you remember how he
Yeah.
did for us?
Yeah, well, I do. Unfortunately, I do.
Yeah, I thought you might.
I'd still say I'd sooner have him than Ruud van Nistelrooy. But there we go. So Lee
Go on.
Carsley, another one that we are not having. Regular viewers of this show, and Wayne will back me up here, is that I've got a good mate who's a Bournemouth fan, Craig, and he is a lover of this guy, Gary O'Neill. I do not. I have actually said, and I'll say it again now, that if we appoint Gary O'Neill as our manager, I'm going to start supporting Nottingham Forest. I do not want this guy anywhere near this club. Now, this championship expert happened to be somebody from a championship podcast like we do here. So I would question his expert title. Cause I really, really, really don't want this guy. He was the reason I had Wolves getting relegated last season, and I think they would have done had they stuck with him. He's Please tell me that you agree and that he's not the man for us.
I would never sign Gary O'Neill. Um, I don't hate Gary O'Neill though. I don't dislike Gary O'Neill. I think he's run seal. You know,
Mm,
it's just solid. It's safe. But when you really look at the jobs that he's done, whether it was Bournemouth or at Wolves, the guy who came in afterwards, Iriola at Bournemouth and obviously Vitor Pereira at Wolves, really took the same squad, the same ingredients, and moved them on very quickly and in a
mm,
fairly dramatic way, showing that he wasn't getting the best out of what he had in front of him. There were better
yeah,
options. Having said that, I think those two managers have done an exceptional job, and sometimes
yeah,
it is a bit easier. But because there are managers out there who can do better with the same ingredients, he's never going to be best in class that's available to us. So it's
mm,
kind of, it feels like a kind of similar Steve Cooper style appointment. You can't work out what the best option is, so you go for what you think is a safe pair of hands. But a safe
Yeah.
pair of hands just doesn't get you where you want to get.
No, I mean Craig is a Bournemouth fan, obviously, because I live down in Bournemouth, and he absolutely loved the guy and didn't want him to. Obviously, he loves Areola more, but he didn't want him to go at the time.
And I bet he
Uh,
was upset at the time when it happened. Yeah,
yeah, he was. No, he was.
but
But
he's not upset anymore.
no, 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 no. And he was like, I was getting pissed with him on Wednesday night. He managed to walk into a pillow. I managed to avoid it, though. Let me just say that. But he was taking the piss out of me because of this link here. No, I don't know. I just don't think. I don't know what he's done. Why are people giving him jobs? He
It's
hasn't
it's
proved
it's late. It's either lazy reporting,
it.
or even worse, it could be lazy actual recruiting. This is an old point, but I'll raise it again. The managerial merry-go-round is so lacks imagination. It lacks due diligence because it's not about the usual names in the hat. It's about who's the best guy for the job anywhere on planet Earth. I don't care if he comes from Mars. Who
Yeah,
is the best person for the job? Full stop. I don't care how old they are necessarily, how young they are. I just have a certain idea of what I think the best person for the job constitutes. And we've just mentioned two guys, that have come on and taken over a situation and done really great in Iriola and Vitor Pereira. Zero Premier League experience, zero English game experience.
yeah,
Look at what they've done to their clubs. Sometimes, we have. I think this is a bit of a British thing. Is that we think, everything's the best here and everyone else is a bit of a plonker and no one can do it as well as us, therefore we're the best at everything. And
yeah,
sometimes that's right and a lot of times it's not. And when you're looking for anything for a club like Leicester City today, it's such an international leagues and international game. We're trying to find the best right back anywhere in the world we can find, the best left back, the best manager, the best coach. I see it no different with the manager too. So you try and find the best guy out there, but in order to widen your scope, you have to be searching in those areas and trying to work out what can translate from second division France or Spain or Portugal, Germany, wherever, and why could that guy have certain ideas and concepts that given better ingredients he's got the conviction, he's got the idea, he's got the personality and the character. That's the other thing. It's not just about playing style and history of what they did in the game or who they are. It could be anybody, but when he talks to you, do you look at him in the eye and think, I'm going to bat for this guy.
yeah,
I'm going through brick walls for this dude. Like Jose Mourinho when he first came to the English game. Do you remember how the Chelsea players go? We adored the guy. We'll do anything for him.
yeah.
You kind of want a manager with that kind of inspirational attitude. And Enzo Maresca himself, very limited experience, but the players all commented like we were going to leave, but
Yeah,
then we met Enzo and now we want to stay.
yeah.
I will go to bat for this guy without any peep of any, like this year we had Vestergaard and Winks causing having a few issues off the pitch. Do we have any issues off the pitch on Lorenzo?
None at all. None at
Okay.
all.
And
Yeah.
when Cooper left, they were like, we miss you, Enzo. So
Yes. Yeah.
we hit the nail on the head. We found a guy with a clever system, but he also had the character to back it up. Let's
Yeah.
try and repeat that.
Yeah. You said about getting a manager from Mars. I actually went to watch a match on Mars once. Didn't like it. There was no atmosphere.
Hey,
I'm here all week. Yeah, unfortunately. Wayne said, had a great positive day. And then manager list is bringing me down. Then Manny dropped the Taylor grenade. Yes.
oh, we remember that. We remember Akinbayi. We had Lennon, Izzet, Savage, Heskey, Collymore just before as well. We had a really tasty team, and then all of a sudden it was Junior Lewis, Trevor Benjamin, Adi Akinbayi, and he's like, "How we just sold Heskey for 11 million, Lennon for 6 million. We sold, we actually generated. What have you done with that money? Like
Yeah.
what?
It sounds familiar, doesn't it? Sounds very familiar. And it's funny that Peter Taylor took us to the top of the Premier League, if you remember.
I think we were
Um,
Champions League spots up until like
but
January or something.
with um, Martin O'Neill's team. Once he started to bring his own players in, that's when it went shit up.
Yep.
Talking about news changing very quickly, one day I put up that this manager was supposedly wanting the Leicester job, and then within 2 days we had this guy indicating that he would prefer a move to the Bundesliga. I suppose you pays your money and you believe what you want to, depending which paper you read.
I don't
Um,
think that's right, though, Chris. I don't think he said I would prefer. I think somebody said, "Would you like to work for Bayern Munich one day?" And he said, "I would love to work in the Bundesliga, and I'd love to work for Bayern Munich." That's not saying that I want to go there right now. That's just
right.
saying. I think it was obviously you'd ask anybody, "Would you like to manage in your home country, and would you like to manage the biggest team in that home country?" It's a
Yeah.
softball. It's a softball question that he's always going to say yes to. I don't think that was any indicator whatsoever that he was meaning today. Just meaning he's a young man. He's meaning somewhere down the line.
And do you think he is achievable that we could get him at Leicester?
I think there's two-tiered compensation for him. So if we were a Premier League team, this is another reason why we might be holding off. Is we might have already have him lined up, but as soon as we, have that become a Championship team, which I think we have now already. But when you get the accounting period too, Danny Roll's compensation is much lower to a fellow Championship club
Right.
rather than if a Premier League club wanted him. I think it's 5 million for a Premier League club and 3 million for a Championship
All
club.
right.
So I think
Right.
there's a £2 million difference there.
Which buys you a right back that not you would
But
never
it
use.
buys you a bench right back there.
Yes. Yeah. Away's gone. Please roll. Please. This one again has been going round, and it wasn't the fact of any about him coming, but Emil Heskey did a really good job of selling Leicester City to Liam Rossini if he was reading it, of course. Again, I mean, is he Champions League or Europa League? I can't remember. I think
I
it's
think Strasbourg finished
Europa.
fourth or fifth. That probably is Europa, and I
I
don't
think
think
it probably is
and
Europa.
Liga. I don't think Liga have even three Champions League
No,
spots.
no. Would he give that up? Do you think for a move to a championship club? Thinking maybe with what Emil Heskey was saying, look at what we've got at Leicester. These young players are now coming through. Like you said, the next manager is so important because he's got the future of the club as they always do. But if you've got those youngsters that are coming through, there's so many of them, and if they are mismanaged, this could be a lifetime opportunity missed.
This club, even if you're in the Premier League, is within a top 20 attraction because you don't expect to be in the Championship for long. Not with parachute payments, not with for a Championship level, a half decent playing squad, not with that training ground, that stadium, that fan support, one club city, the history that we have. We're the sixth, believe it or not, we're the sixth most successful club in the Premier League era.
Really? Wow.
We
Wow.
are with major when you think of trophies won, we are. We won two League Cup '97, League Cup 2000. We won the FA Cup in 2021, Premier League in 16, and you could even chuck in a Community Shield if you wanted to as well in 2021 as well. So
Yeah.
we've got the full domestic set.
Are you
And
listening, Tottenham, by the way? Are you listening?
for a club like ours, positioned say 30 odd thousand, similar kind of support to Southampton, Forest, Sheffield Wednesday. You could kind of count Sunderland in the area in terms of ground size and club potential. We're the ones who get over the line and actually do miracles. So
Yeah.
this club would be super attractive to the right guy because if you have a bit about you, you know what I mean. If you have a bit about you, you'll think, I fancy that club. I can turn that club around. Give me
Yeah.
the tools, give me the rain, give me that Jeremy Monger and give me that Jake Evans and give me that Henry Cartwright and Aluko and the others and check in a Fatawu who's coming back. We still got Mavididi and, one or two signings. We still got a really good keeper. Even if Mads goes, we've got a good keeper.
Yes. Yeah.
Ricardo's still decent. We've got some players to shift, of course, that you could probably get some money from. So I'm hopeful that as long as there's no embargo, even if there is an embargo, Chris, right? Even if there is an embargo and there's nothing to spend and you have to suck it up for a year, The following summer, when more players off the books, more room on your PSR, Leicester City has big earning potential compared to Championship rivals. We're
Yeah.
pretty much the biggest fish in the league. So I don't have I really don't have issues with trying to attract managers. Of course, you're not going to get managers from big clubs, top clubs, but that's not where I'm looking anyway. I never think you want to get somebody's reject. I think you want to get somebody on the upward trajectory rather than downward trajectory.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like Martin O'Neill, in fact. I
Yeah,
think I think when you look at it, you know that if you come to Leicester and if you get it right, you will get that support from the club. We're not. I know we've gone through a few managers lately, but we've also stuck by managers as well. Brendan was given longer than he probably deserved. Rude has. Nigel, was let go and then brought back. If you can come in and get it right, I just hope whoever it is that the club are honest and open with them.
yeah. I think that's been an issue that's been mentioned more than once with previous managers. They're particularly being annoyed about it. And obviously, Rude recently, I think in some ways, I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but if you're promised, if I was Rude and I was promised, say, 20, 30 million pounds to spend in January when I take the job, okay, if we've got 20, 30 million, I can do a few moves, I can get a few key players, and I can give us a fighting chance. But if they turn around and say, that's more like, I say 20 or 30, sorry, someone had an extra zero. I meant 2 to 3. You're like, excuse me? I would not sure I would have taken the job under those circumstances.
Although we
And now,
did speak to Enzo first, and Enzo had been through it all.
that's true, but Enzo still says that they are, aside from that issue, and you never know, it could be a case of Top and King Power in terms of the Thai Commission, being super supportive, and that's the only indication because I've always seen Top have a brilliant relationship, or Vishar before him, with
Yeah.
the managers themselves. I've never
Yes.
heard a bad word said about those two individuals, not
How many
once.
managers came back when
So
V
they're great people to work for. They're fully supportive, and it's not. You don't think Top or Vishai had it in their nature to be sort of like Marinakis or
No,
shouting and screaming at you behind the scenes, is he? That's
no,
just not their way. They're very controlled. They're very calm.
yeah,
They're perhaps a little bit reserved, and they're very respectful. So it's kind of owner you really would love, and that's why I think we need to be careful when we. I don't want to go on a tangent too much, but when we go off on one at King Power, like you and I know different owners. I've had a chat with Milan Mandaric. We don't, I respect Milan and the rest of it, but there aren't many better owners who are willing out there. Remember, even last summer was the highest summer of expenditure that Leicester City have ever done in a summer in their entirety. That's the most we've ever spent in a summer ever. We've never spent that amount of money net. So never, ever, ever. So the problem is PSR. I'm sure they would probably want to throw another 50, 100 million and could do, but they can't. So it's about what can the club generate, and the key question is how efficiently can you use that money to achieve what you want to achieve, and
yeah,
that's where we've been let down.
yeah. Bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to close my door. I don't know if you saw me flash earlier. Not literally. I've
Flash,
got lightning. Yeah, I've, please don't. We've got lightning and thunder here, and my door's open. So I'm just going to come here, shut it, and then I'm back
he's back. Look at that.
because we are going to have thunderstorms by the sound of it. My neighbour will be knocking on the door in a minute because she hates the thunder. And I'm always there to comfort her, of course. It'd be rude not
Steady, steady.
to. Leicester to host Fiorentina in pre-season finale. Three now we've got, three friendlies, two at obviously Seagrave against Portsmouth and OH Leuven, as it happens. They're letting fans in to watch that. We went through a period, didn't we, where we had the last game of the season, last game of the pre-season was always against the top club. I've got mugs here when it was Real Madrid, and we've had Barcelona.
I
You
was
know,
there at the Barcelona game. I flew to Stockholm and went to watches against. I watched Ahmed Musa score two belters against a Messi Barcelona team.
oh yeah, but no, but we had those as friendlies.
Yes,
back in the day, and I'm looking forward to this. And there were sixth, I think it was, in Italy, but they're a fairly decent side, and of course they've got De Gea in goal as well.
I actually own a Fiorentina T-shirt.
Do you?
I when I was a very very young man, I loved. Do you remember Gabriel Batistuta?
Do I? Yes.
A hell of a striker, and they used
Yeah.
to have that.
Argentinian, wasn't he?
That's right, that's right.
Yeah.
And he had they had that purple shirt with Nintendo as a sponsor across it. And it
Mm,
was, I tell you, when I in my teenage years, that was like the coolest sponsor you could get was
yeah.
Nintendo. And
Yeah.
I love the shirt. I love the player to bits. And so yeah, I got that. And having been to Firenze, Florence myself, absolutely beautiful, stunning, amazing city. The food is incredible. People are
It,
lovely.
yeah. And
It's
I think that's
wonderful.
a decent game to round off your pre-season.
Yeah, you know what? It's also, we have a bit of a link with Italy, through Claudio. I think there was some YouTube video when we were winning the league of an army of Italian fans going by land from Italy to the King
Yeah.
Power. Do you remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. To celebrate,
To
yes.
celebrate. They were loving it. They were all over us. And so I think, keeping those connections alive, believe it or not, we've probably got like 500 Leicester City fans in Italy somewhere.
Yes.
So give them a chance to keep being Leicester City fans. And I love these, when you look at it, like, I mean, no disrespect, but you don't want to be playing like Peterborough United or Scunthorpe in your pre-season friendly, do you? You're not
I
going to
d-
sell tickets. Get
no.
Fiorentina in.
The thing is, they do, but we always seem to play Burton Albion, don't we? That's always a pre-season.
Boring. Come
No,
on.
exactly.
Let's play
I
somebody
do.
good.
And now we've got OH Laven. I mean, oh my God, I wouldn't get out of bed to watch that.
No, I like that one, Chris, because it's always been a curiousness. This is our sister club. How
Mm.
good is our sister club compared to us? Like,
Better than us, because last time we played them in the pre-season, they nearly beat us.
well, I think we should make it an annual fixture. It's a good way of testing to see if
Yeah.
any, you use it as a platform to say, look, you live in Belgium. If you want to go over to Leicester and join the big club in the big league, then
Mm.
here's your chance this game. Go and show them what you're made of, and let's try and rattle some of their first team players and show me that you're good enough and you have the desire to play for that club. So I quite like that fixture actually.
Totally. And while you mentioned Claudia, I've got to say, fair play to the guy. Apparently, he was offered the Italian manager's job, and he turned it down to stay as like director of football or general manager at Roma, isn't it? He's at, I
Roma
think.
is his kind of club. I think he played
Yeah,
for Roma. Did he not
yeah,
play
he
for
did.
Roma in like?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
No, he did.
what
Yeah,
was this in
yeah.
like I'm guessing the 70s, something
Mm.
like that. Must have been,
It
but
must have been 70s.
I
Yes.
think it was before my time, so I don't remember him as a player. I remember Ancelotti as a player for Milan, but I don't remember Claudio as a player or
No,
Capello. Capello played for Milan. I never saw him play and stuff.
no.
But look, the guy is. I mean, it's not just the fact that he won us the league. I just love him, like his
He is. Yeah.
personality. He
Oh,
is
totally.
magic. Like he's the kind of guy I would, as a player, I would just fall in love with him. I love the Italian, the drama, the sense of humor is fantastic.
You would run to a brick wall for him, wouldn't you?
And also in my wardrobe, since we're talking about shirts, I've got a Dilly Ding Dilly Dong
Oh,
t-shirt.
I want to say you've not got him in your wardrobe,
No, no, no.
you know.
But
But
and
yeah.
do I Claudio? I know Claudio because my nephew, when he was a young lad, was at one of the schools at Leicester, and Claudio was doing the tour of schools of Leicester, meeting school
Mm,
kids. And my nephew got chosen to present a gift to Claudio, and they had a
yeah.
little chat, and he's just like, Claudio was amazing to me, and I've seen the video. I mean, forget it. It's not just about when there's a press conference or the cameras are on. When no one's looking and no one's heard the stories, Claudio was a gent. Claudio was respectful. Claudio was fantastic. He was everything you would hope a man of that stature was.
Yeah. And I've got to say, just see if I can get it up there. I don't know if you can see top left or right, depending which
Oh
way you look.
yeah.
A signed Ranieri shirt,
Oh,
Ranieri
that's
done.
pride
Yeah.
of place, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, the guy, we love him, don't we?
We love him. We love the
We love
guy. Absolutely love the
yes.
guy. Always going to be a hero for this club.
Yeah. If you're still with us, Wayne, get the tissues ready. Your favourite player is about to be talked about. Jeremy Monga. and Jason Solarczyk head a list of 9 new Leicester City contracts. This absolutely brilliant news. He signed a schoolboys thing, but apparently that will automatically turn into an adult one when he's 17. So basically, it means now, I think, could be wrong, but if anybody does come in now, we're going to get money for him.
I think the key difference is that the transfer fee isn't decided by a tribunal anymore, and it will be decided by negotiations with us. So we have the power in our hands, and I think that is first thing to say is thank you to Jeremy Monga and his family and his agent and his representatives, because it would have been very easy to copy Trainioni and go to Liverpool and sit in
Yeah,
the reserves for a couple of years. And the kid thought, you know what, I can get in the first team here. I've been here since I was, I think, 9 years old was when he signed for Leicester City. So he's been here for 6 years. You know, for him,
yeah,
it'll feel like most of his life.
yeah, yeah,
And I like that loyalty. I love loyalty. I love that. Do you know what? Even if I do go one day, then the club that developed me deserve to get a transfer fee out of me,
yeah.
to help them out. You know, this boy is heading all the way to as high as you could possibly imagine if he carries on, keeping his head screwed on, if he doesn't go to any Kyle Walker parties or P. Diddy parties, as Anil said in on our channel.
Yeah.
But as long as you keep your head screwed on and you really focus on football, then this boy is potentially a Real Madrid player.
Yeah. Prashant, you've got to go, you're saying there. Thanks so much for popping in, mate. Take care. Um, Look, I mean, do we thank Rude for this? Because back in the early in the season, you remember me calling Rude out for being a bullshitter because he named Jeremy Monga and Jake Evans, I think it was, as two players that are going to be in the squad this Saturday. 100%, they'll be in the squad. And when it came out, no, no Evans there, right? And that guy's probably gone home and told all his friends and told his family. But he decided to put Monga in. And obviously, once we started to put Monga in the team and give him 5-10 minutes here and there, that again strengthened our case if he did go to a tribunal. Because we're saying, well, we're using him. As
And
well.
also, he's Premier League. Look, he's clearly Premier League standard. He can
Yes,
hold his
yeah,
own as a 15-year-old.
exactly. Do you think it's down to Rude, or is it also a bit down to look? We love to moan about John Rudkin. If the hot dogs are cold or the ladies' bog in the away end is blocked, it's it's his fault.
Public enemy number one at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, but obviously he's been involved in these 9 players and Stolarczyk and what have you. So who gets the credit, or is it even? I'm going to throw a dice at you here and say, did he look at Jack Grealish, England player, top, number one at Villa, went to Man City, and it's all gone wrong for him.
Not just Jack. You don't have to go as far as Jack Grealish. You can go a lot closer to home. How's Ben Chilwell been getting on since he left Leicester City?
Yeah, yeah,
I know he won his Champions League and actually he won an FA Cup, but his England play he was an England player when he played for Leicester.
yeah.
His England career's gone. He's missed out on major tournaments already. There was a case to say if Leicester was still a solid Premier League team and he was playing every week, that he might have had that left back berth. And we were playing Kieran Trippier there, for God's sake, in the last tournament, out of position.
Yeah.
So there's a question mark as to there's pros and cons. Okay, you'll get more money, and you'll probably have a better trophy cabinet, but it doesn't mean that your playing career would necessarily be any better. There's several examples of Danny Drinkwater. How's his career? How's
Yes.
KDH? How's Dewsbury Hall? Poor lad. I feel so sorry for him.
I heard a rumour he was up for sale.
I think I wouldn't be. I'd be shocked if he wasn't up for sale, because they'll know that they have to get him off their books. They can't keep him there sitting there forever. They have a high player turnover. There are clubs interested. I think West Ham. I heard Arsenal are even looking at him. Believe it or not, I've heard Villa have looked at him in the past. So you do end up getting bounced around, don't you? You one minute you had stability at Leicester. You've been there for a number of years. Everything's going well. Now you're bouncing around from one club to the other, and your international place is gone. It's not black and white in terms of you should automatically go to the club. Again, which club are you likely to play? What happens if that club changes their manager and the next manager doesn't fancy you? There's so
Yeah.
many questions to ask. At 15 years old, the right thing to do is you've got plenty of time for your big move. You've got plenty of time to make fortunes. But Leicester
Mm.
City probably offered him and the other guys a very competitive contract. But back to the original question, which I've been circling, do you credit Rude for any of this? Well, in a way you have to, because Rude did give him game minutes. And I
Yes.
think there is a fine line between, like, I'm actually one of those that think we could have started in the last 5 games of the season. I don't care that he's had one. I don't care that
I'm
he's
with
had
you on that one. I'm
one
with you.
training session. I think you can look. You can bring him off after an hour. He doesn't
Yeah.
have to play 90 minutes. You can do, but I think 15 minutes wasn't quite enough game time. But at the same time, if you remember with Phil Foden, how Guardiola was they control the number of minutes each season to make
Mm.
sure that they burn the player out. If you do what Wenger did with Jack Wilshere, they played him 50 games when he was 16 or 17. I think he played 50 games in all competitions in that season. All of a sudden, ankle injury, this injury,
Mm.
that injury. And whether it's Jack Wilshere, Fernando Torres, Michael Owen, if these players who rely not rely but they a pace is a large element of their game, if you
Mm.
burn the player out too early, and they will accumulate injuries because the human body is maturing up until the age of 25. That's when it stops growing. So
Yeah.
the boy is still in development, in growth. And although, like, I'm dying to see more of him, I think the boy's so talented, so electric.
Yeah.
I can't think of being more excited about. I think Emil Heskey, I was really excited about when he came through, because I used to, believe it or not, I used to play football with Emil, so I was really
Okay.
excited to see how
Yeah.
he would do in the first team. But in terms of quality, I can't think of a higher ceiling of any youth product we've ever had since I've been around. So
Mm.
you have to credit John Rudkin and Rude for whatever they did. The boy
Yeah.
signed the boy and his family signed a contract.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to say whatever they did worked. So you have to give them that credit. But I would just thought, I want to see him. I'm just excited to see more of him as much as I can get. But again, I don't want to burn the kid out. So like next season, he shouldn't be playing 46 games. No way.
No.
He can't do
No.
it.
No. Are you excited about this player possibly leaving us? Russell Martin coming after Connor Cody. Now we've got 3 experienced centre backs, 4 if you include Vestergaard's dog, of course. But we've got Cody, we've got Vestergaard, and we've got Faze.
All
Out
three out.
all
All
three,
three
or
of them. All
do
three
you
are gone.
not pick one
No,
pick for
no,
experience?
no, no, not at all.
That's a no, then, is it?
No, that's it's such a it's such a common idea, but I think it's totally the wrong idea,
Okay.
because one, they are slow, and I would rather have a potential young kid who's hungry, quick, a decent talent, rather than having been round the circuit many times. The kid, Ben Nelson, for example. Ben
Yeah.
Nelson, we're probably paying him 10, 15 grand a week. We're
Mm.
playing Connor Cody 90. I think Ben Nelson's a better player today. I don't want Connor Cody in this team. I don't think you need experience. I think we need a fresh team that respects its leader, that believes its leader is a good player. Connor Cody's not been a good player for us. Talks a good game, but the performances haven't been there for us. That Enzo barely played him. Wasn't good enough for Enzo. Then we get
Mm.
up here, and how good is he this season? Look, I don't blame him. If someone offers you doubles your salary, that you take it. Of course, especially that you're old. He's not an idiot. I would take it. And he's going to sit there until that contract ends, because no one ever is going to take that contract over. The only way we can actually, I mean, if Rangers, which I'm stunned, because there's no way they pay anybody 80, 90 grand a week. No chance. I think their limit is like 40. So why is Connor Cody halving his wage to go to Rangers? If he wants to do that, hey, respect Connor Cody. If you're that keen to go to Rangers and have that amazing experience, I understand why you would do it. Hey,
Yeah.
it works well for us.
Yeah.
Off
Yeah.
you go. We'll pay for the Uber, no problem.
You'll drive him up there, won't you?
Nah, I'm not doing that. I couldn't have him in my ear the whole way.
God, yeah.
Oh,
No, we'd have
That
talked
actually, I
sport
probably
on
would.
if he was in or not. I got to say, congratulate. I love this guy as a player, Casey McAteer. He had one thing he had when I saw him in a couple of games. I mean, I saw him in all the games he played, but a couple of times I noticed what he had to the likes of the Connor Cody that we've just said. He had passion.
Hmm.
It was like me getting in with Mike Tyson, some of the players he was going up against, but and
It's
arguing in the face.
it's trajectory. He's on the
Mm,
way up. He's trying to prove himself as a footballer, as a professional. He doesn't know how high he can get. He's trying to prove, whether it's with Leicester or somebody else, he wants that next contract. He's got to prove how good he is. The least you can do as any professional footballer is give it every bit of energy you've got every second whilst you're in the game. I
yeah,
never understand the sort of casual player who turns it off and on. My way would always be 100% energy focus immediately. You probably burn yourself out.
yeah.
But that is the difference between a Casey McAteer and a Connor Cody. Forget about the positioning. One
Mm,
guy is super hungry to prove himself. One guy's in an armchair because he's getting paid 90 grand a week and he's only got a couple of seasons left.
yeah.
He's at the wrong trajectory of his career. Casey's going up, Connor Cody's going down. We spoke about it with managers. It extends to players too.
And this will have done his confidence a world of good, won't
Good
it?
finish. Good
Yeah.
finish too. I think it was it Croke Park, was it? I think it was Croke Park. Was it Lansdowne Road? Must have been Croke Park. Actually, I don't know which one it was. Either way, it was at a bloody big stadium. I think it might have been
Yeah.
Lansdowne Road, actually, the new Lansdowne Road.
Right.
And to play in that atmosphere, they can do a good atmosphere, the Irish. Oof, they can do a good atmosphere there.
Yeah.
So to have that feeling of, I was a star today, and it was a good finish. Like the
Mhm.
control, the turn, he got there. Some people on blue tinted glasses have been pushing him to play striker for us next season.
Right.
I think that's ambitious. I think that's
Yeah,
ambitious
I think,
myself.
I think so.
Um, but in terms of Casey, his attitude, his work rate, his desire, his passion, his intensity, he has all of those qualities. I'm going to question other qualities, but I don't want to have anything negative to say about him when he's actually been did well for us at the back end of the season, and clearly he's taken that onto his Ireland career too.
Planet Earth says there, the footage of him was a ball boy when Vardy scored against Palace.
No, we love seeing that, don't we?
Yeah, he's
Everyone
one
does.
of our own. He's one of our own. Look, I mean, and if next season Fatawu, gets a knock or something, or he just needs the rest, I have no worries with this guy coming in.
Yes, but you're not going to like this, Chris. In order to be maximize efficiency with your budget, you can't have in the championship with our PSR situation a £10 million player playing a bit part role in the season. And if all things being fit, he doesn't start for my Leicester City team at all. So if somebody wants to pay 10, maybe even 12 now, maybe even 15 for Casey McAteer, I know this, you're not going to like this, and I hate doing this to a local guy, I do. But you take the money because we could use that 15 million to improve the first team in like the centre back area or other areas. So I think you have to be efficient with your assets. This is brutal, I understand. But because of he is a domestic player and it looks good on your books and it all goes down as profit, that kind of selling can give you leverage in the price that you get for a Bilal or the price that you get for a Mads Hermansen because it relieves financial stress in other sales too. There's so much to it. But the bottom line is he does have value. I don't think he's going to start for us. And I would like the kid, instead of sitting on our bench, go out there and play 46 games and prove why I'm an idiot and we should have kept us in the first place. Let the guy have a career.
I get what you're saying. I understand why you're saying it and what have
You can
you. But
disagree. You can disagree. It's all
well,
fine.
I'm going to. I'm going to. Do we not need a look? There's 11 players on the pitch, but we can't go into next season with just those 11. So we're going to have some players that are going to have to be the squad, if you like. Surely this is the sort of player we need to be holding on to if we're going to have a future. Yes, as they totally see where you're coming from. If we can get 10 million, fucking PSR messing us up again, it's ruining football totally. But I just think we've got to be holding on to some of our best players. Otherwise we're going to be selling off the crown jewels and being kept with
That's my point. You sell him so we can keep our crown jewels because he's not a crown jewel. He's not a crown jewel. He's not a star in our team, Chris.
but then we might be stuck with the likes of FaZe. We might be stuck with the likes
And we
of.
likely will. So you sell what you can. So you sell, the bottom line is every single player in our squad is permanently up for sale. That's the reality of football.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's just a question of somebody offers money, but nobody's offering money for, well, we think Cody, Vestergaard. We don't think anyone's offering money for Skip or Winks necessarily. So we do have to sell players. If Casey's wages aren't bad.
I'm going to annoy you now because I'm going to say we should keep Winks and Skip and have them both playing next season.
Well, I think that's silly. That's just silly. That's just silly. One, they're rubbish or overrated, I should say. Winks
In
is
the
okay.
Premier League, but look at Winks last season in the Championship.
Well, again, scratch the surface. You've got a second pivot next to you in Ricardo. You've got 3 centre-backs around you. You've got 2 8s in Dewsbury Hall, who works like a dog, and Wilfred Ndidi, who works like a dog. You are in a pocket of space where you have protection all around you. You've got an armchair. Also, the opposition in the Championship are not pressing you because you're the big fish. You're Leicester City. We're not going to attack you. We're going to sit back deep. No pressure on Winks. No time, all the time to make his lovely looking passes and look like he's controlling the game. He's allowed to control the game because of the situation. When you get into the Premier League, he has zero control because they're on him. We didn't play that system anyway. We didn't have the quality of Dewsbury Hall and Ndidi giving him protection to do the hard work for us. We had Sumare, who can be a bit lazy at times.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think there is a player who's 20... How old is he? 28, 29? Harry Winks?
Winks. Probably, he's like he's 30, isn't he? Or 31?
30. And what is his wages, Chris?
Yeah, yeah. No, like I say...
Get him off the books because you can replace him for a kid you can find for under 5 million quid and give this kid this one season to do his 46 game. A midfield Abdul Fatawu. Give him the 46 games to learn his trade in this country. And then when we go into the Premier League, you might have a star on your hands, you might not. But we already know that Winks is not going to work for us in the Premier League. So I never look at building a team for the Championship. Even if I'm in the Championship, that's not what I would build. You have to have the Premier League in your mind.
Oh, yeah, but my worry is that if we do sell Winks and Skip, that's going to leave us with Sumare and Ndidi.
You get the money for those and you reinvest the money. You're not selling them if you're not going to use that money to buy replacements. If we have a transfer embargo, for example, and we can't sign anybody, then of course you have to keep these players then. But assuming, I can promise you, Chris, I've got for the last week or not the last week or two, but I've been compiling for Blue Tinted Glasses I call it a fast twitch recruiting spreadsheet. So far, I've got about 30 players. I'd say 25 of them are under 5 million quid. 25 of them are under 5 million quid. I assure you, I've got 5 midfielders for under £5 million today who are better than Harry Winks at football. Better for us, better for the future, better resale value. They'll have a better attitude. They'll be willing to live close to the grounds, and they'll do it on 15 grand for 10, 15,000 pounds a week, not for 90. Yeah. Anyone who's we have. Forget about what the pitch about what we need in the Championship or what might be useful. From a sheer financial point of view, anybody who's earning over 40, 50,000 pounds a week at this club has pretty much got to go. Has to go. Like, we can't get anywhere while you've got these heavyweights on our books. It means you can't buy the players that you want. We have to get these players out.
Whether we can offload them or not because of the high wages they're on. That's the
other problem.
Yeah. Planet Earth says I'll be looking, going back to McAtee, I'll be looking at him in the number 10 position pre-season. Planet Earth, obviously, I like the cut of this man's jib. He says, correct, Chris. He knows a good argument when he hears one.
He likes one.
Wayne had to go out, Wayne, okay, Planet Earth has said there, then name one. And Harry is 30.
Musa Baraji. Okay. There you go, Musa Baraji, Baradji. I think he's I'm going to say Grasshoppers in Switzerland. You know what? If you really, just for you, Planet Earth, because I know you're regularly posting and you want to put me on the spot, I'm just going to double click the spreadsheet here, Chris, because I'm a
Yeah.
consummate professional, mate. Midfield. Ba, 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 ba. What have I done with it? Let's have a look. I will dig up my scouting show in the background, Chris, while you fill up the airtime.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, moving on though, then from Casey, just while you're looking at that, Norwich have Jakub Salarczyk bid rejected. Um, for me, thank God, I can see him being our number one next season. I have a feeling that Mads will go. I think he's playing. I think he's been better than. I think with Mads, I don't think he came back too early. I think he was rushed back because of who he is and his name. But I do like Jakub, and I would have liked to have seen, because I think for me, I think Mads is going to go, and I would have liked to have seen Jakub as number one and Everson as number two. But I understand Everson wanting to go, and there you go, Planet Earth. There you go. You can't catch Manny out. You can't catch Manny out.
Can't, I'm
Um,
afraid. He's 24 years old. He plays for Everden Sport FC. His nationality is Mali, so he probably Woyo must know him. He's
yeah,
valued at 2 million quid. He probably costs three. He's £3 million. He's an absolute brick. You know what's it. He's quick as hell. He's got lovely technique, controllable for fun. I think given better teammates, what he does for that club is translatable to the championship level, and he can do things that Harry Winks cannot do. Well, move for a start. He can definitely do that. So and there's a bunch of these out there, and people who think like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm sure you can name one. Just go. Just there's so many examples of clubs littered with these. I mean, not just forget our own Cantes and Mahrez's out of nowhere that we found over the years. Even today, like Dean Howson, 12 months ago, Bournemouth signed him from Juventus reserves for 15 million quid, and they sell him to Real Madrid at the end of the season for 50. I'll give you one right now for next season, because it's not just about talking about the past. There's a striker called El Junior Krupi. Bournemouth bought him in February and re-loaned him back to his home club, which is Lorient in France. This boy is a talented young striker. He's like a young Alexander Isak. Give him about 4 or 5 years, he might even approach that level. They bought
yeah.
him for 15 million euros. There's so many talented kids out there. Just look at PSG. They're full of 19, 20-year-old kids who are absolutely electric.
I'm going to go back in time and say two words. Muzzy, is it?
Chelsea reserves,
Yeah,
700 grand.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. But look, moving on. Jakub Salarczyk, Norwich. Well, he's just signed an extension with us, hasn't he, Jakub? I like this man.
Excellent keeper, homegrown. This is, just to prove that I don't hate on any of our homegrown players. It's never about, for me, it's never about, I don't care if you're, I mean, I would give you a little bit of extra credit if you're from Leicester, because, you're likely to be a fan and you are going to have that feeling in your stomach for the club. So I would always give you a bit more opportunity. But this boy has come over, presumably from Poland. We've got him at a young age, and the kid's got real talent. I mean, I'm not surprised Norwich want him. It would be stupid to sell this boy. Mads is going to go. The
Yeah,
likelihood is, he's going to go. We
agreed.
have got a ready-made, loyal lad who's been here since he was 16. I think he's, 24 now? So he's
Yeah.
already been at the club for 8 years. He's part of the furniture. Give this boy a 8-year Chelsea-style deal. He's a goalkeeper. Give him an 8-year contract. I mean, he just signed a new contract, by the way.
Yes, yeah,
So,
yeah.
but I would be signing this boy up for a decade.
Yeah.
He's really talented, great attitude, cheap, dare I say,
Yes.
unknown. But I tell you, one season of a few flashy saves, and boom, everybody knows about him, and everybody might be after him one day. So this is one you want to tie down for the long term.
He's actually kept more clean sheets than Mads did last season.
Arguably, back the second since Mads' injury, Mads has not been the same player he was before the injury. You could argue that in terms of performance, Jakob's done slightly better.
I would not argue with you. I would agree with you on that, in fact. I think I know where you're going with this one because we kind of touched on it earlier. Leicester promotion hero, and I use those words loosely. This is taken from Leicestershire Live because they're actually referring to Vestergaard and Mads. But I just have to fill that in for you. But Leicester City promotion hero breaks silence on his future after relegation. He wants to stop with us. He doesn't want to go anywhere. He loves us
Of
so
course he
much.
does. What other mug's going to pay him 80 grand a week?
Exactly. And where else could he take his dog into training?
Uh, Again, this is like Cody. This is like these guys. The thing is, you're never going to be able to get him off your books if you want someone to take over that contract, because no one's going to take over that contract.
No.
If he is, let's say he's on, I think he was on 80 grand a week in the Prem with a 40% reduction. So what's that? 10%, 832. 32 off 80 is 48 grand a week he's going to be on in the Championship then, by my rough mathematics.
Yeah.
48 grand you're paying this guy in the Championship a week. Okay, a club might pay 20, 25. Pay half of his wages, get him out the door.
Yeah.
25 grand a week is 1.25 million pounds a year. I'm good at maths.
Glad you are.
Yeah,
I'm just letting you do that.
Pretty sure that's right, actually. Roughly, it's about 1.25 million pounds a year. Over 3 years, that is 3.75 million pounds you've saved. 3.57 million pounds, put that in the pot. Sell Casey, 10 million pounds, put that in the pot. Try and get rid of Cody. If you get a transfer fee, great, just get him off your books. There's another 5, 6, 7 million pounds you're going to save. Get rid of Fast for 8 million. There's another 8, 9 million. I would personally sell Luke Thomas, sell Victor, sell all of these guys who have proven to be not good enough. Everything you can do, get them off. And it might mean in an ideal world, you might have to sign 10 12 players. Forest signed about 16 players a couple of years ago. It was no problem for them to try and mould them together. A fresh restart means that. And I think there's so much dead wood on our books. The first priority, if I was there, would be got to get these players out the door. If that means I have to subsidise wages, if that means I have to pay the odd player off or whatever it might be, it's not just about the player. There's toxicity now. Like Vestergaard has proven to be an issue. Cruising around with his dog, he's falling out with people. He was a problem under Brendan, he's a problem again now. Harry Winks is... I know we have a different stance on this Harry Winks issue, but I think he was living at Nottingham at the time, and after he had the kid, his wife wanted to understandably move closer to support network. Totally get it from the wife's point of view. I mean, of course she needs that support network. But we're paying somebody 90 grand a week who's going to be in a car for 2.5 hours on his way to training and 2.5 hours back. Well, 2 hours at least. So you can't have one of your expensive assets sitting in a car for 4 hours a day. He's going to get back problems. He's going to get neck problems. He's going to get injuries. It doesn't set a good, message to the other players. If there's any kind of camaraderie, like a social, the lads are going out for dinner on Thursday night. Do you want to come, Harry? No, I live in London. I can't come. It doesn't work. All of these things, I know we disagree on that, and from a Winks point of view, I get it. But from a team ethos point of view, how do you build unity if a guy lives 2.5 hours away?
It's a very good point. I mean, I think even if you live local, having just had a baby, you might not want to go anyway. You might want to go home and see the baby. But look, two sides to every argument.
Planet Earth, yeah, bring him up, will you? Because I want to bring that point. So.
It's coming up in the bottom right. I don't know if you can see it at all. Yeah,
I can.
Your YouTube clips of Musa are very good.
They're not my clips, but you asked me to find a player.
Sorry, yeah.
Of course they're very good. I wouldn't have selected him if he wasn't very good. I'm not going to pick a player who's crap. Now, the point you're making, why do you think Musa is playing in the league with terrible stadium? Yeah. Did you ask the same question before we signed N'Golo Kante, Planet Earth? Did you ask the same question before we signed Riyad Mahrez, Planet Earth? Did you ask the same question when we signed Jamie Vardy, Planet Earth? I don't think you did. Because it's not about... What we're trying to do is uncover gems. We're trying to find diamonds in the rough. Not the finished article, but a guy with potential and ceiling. And given our training facilities and better players around you and decent quality pitches and the rest of it, that player has the raw talent to thrive and excel. And if I actually like looking for players who play on crap pitches, because what do you have to have on a crap pitch if you want to look good? A good
Skill.
touch. You have
Mm.
to have skill. You have to have control. You have to have you try dribbling on a bubbly pitch. Not easy. It's not easy.
Not these days. Keith Weller could do it, as I said earlier.
It's
To
not an easy skill. That it's
yeah,
the pitches aren't even. The grass is awful. The players are trying to hack you. I think there is a big market to try and look for places where no
yeah,
one
no,
else
we
is
should
looking.
be. We should be.
That's where you find the gems.
Yeah. While I'm talking about players that are leaving, I'll speed up these last few now. Danish media expect Victor Christensen to leave Leicester City. I would be quite happy for him to go. I think he's been disappointed. I know you've after what you've just said, but I'd sooner keep Luke Thomas. I thought he did not have a bad season. Would you be sorry to see this guy go?
I don't know about sorry because again, an unpopular view. I think Victor's had a poor season. There's no doubt about that. It's undeniable. But I always think Victor puts the effort in on the pitch. I think his problem is he's full of a bit too hustle and bustle at times, and he's a bit too,
Yeah.
cavalier and just charge into a challenge rather than just hold off and keep your
Mm.
shape, and you don't have to commit at times. So again, I've never questioned Victor's attitude on the pitch. So I like him. He's Danish. They all have good working attitude. You never get a Danish player with a bad working attitude. It's
Yeah.
not in their nature.
And I think as well, a lot of his problem was that when he did actually get the ball and went upfield with it, there was nobody for him to cross it to.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You don't have it's him. Also, you're trying to build up that relationship with your left winger. You want to build these. We're changing left winger every 5 minutes. 1 minute
yeah,
it's Steffi, then it's Ayew, then it's Cordova Reed, then Casey might be playing there. Then they'll stick Bilal out there too to try that. When Anote comes in there to slot in for 20 minutes, we change the formation. We don't even play a left time.
yeah,
It's not the situation hasn't helped him, but having even given all the caveats that I could give him, performance not been good enough. He's young, he's a Danish international, he has transfer value, just like Casey does. If
yeah.
somebody offers you 10, 12, 15 million, you sell.
Take it. You do, indeed, indeed. Everton, it says, are now eyeing another Leicester City player. They are the ones that are eyeing, apparently, Christensen. They're also after Ndidi. But if you read another blog or another social media thing on the same day, Manchester United, as it said,
Yeah,
their once leading fox.
I'll say it. I'll say it here, Chris. I'll say it here for you. Right now, this is coincidence. I'm going to say it's coincidence and nothing else. So the last time we played United, I did the countdown preview show on the United stand. No, just 2.1 million subscribers. Not
Yeah,
a few.
small one, yeah.
Just that small channel.
Was it Mr. Goldbridge? Was it you were speaking
It was
to?
actually he was half an hour before. It was Beth and one of the other chaps was in the
Right.
studio, and I did half an hour on the show.
Yeah,
Worth a watch still. But during that, I actually recommended to them. I said because they asked me the question: are there any Leicester clubs that United should be looking at? And I said, if I was United, I'd definitely look at the keeper because your keeper's terrible, and our keeper's excellent. I'd be looking at Wilfred and Didi because when we go down, he's going to be cheap.
yeah,
I think he will do a better defensive job than Ugarte or even Casemiro. These guys go missing for United, and Wilf is a rock solid. Plus, he never gives you an attitude. Never is a problem. He's the experienced good pro that you might get for next to nothing. Probably a bit of a stretch for United, to be fair, but it's cheap for them. You don't have to spend.
no, 9
But
million. If,
9 million is a bargain for Wilf.
yeah, but would you take that?
He's got a release clause. He's got a release clause. We don't have a
Yeah,
choice.
but I mean,
We
if
don't
he
have a
didn't,
choice.
sorry, yeah, if he didn't
Ah.
have a release clause and somebody came in offering
No,
9,
9 million's nowhere near enough for Wilf. No.
but when you said, what could we get with that 9 million? A younger,
Yes, we could, but you're asking me about his valuation. In the open market, without a contract stipulation, his value is much higher than 9 million. A lot of the reason why a lot of clubs are interested in, because at 9 million, the deal, even with his high wages, you can make that work because you're getting a really good play. So there's people who argue about skipping links. You try and get 9 million for Winks and see if there's any takers. But you try getting 9 million for an Ndidi, they'll queue up.
Because Rich, who was in earlier from Rich Sports, he asked me before I went on holiday, or was it when I was back? I can't remember, about Indeed because they'd been linked with him. And do you remember when we first got him and he had those first couple of brilliant seasons? Man United were being linked with him all the time. And I said the only problem is he's not that player anymore.
I don't think I agree with that.
Okay.
I think he's had some serious injuries over the years. Like he's been out 3 times for 3 or 4 months plus at least. And I thought Wolf was quite a restricted player in terms of, he's brilliant at the defensive side of the game and quite limited in the forward side of the game. But I watched him in the Championship 46 times, or however many he did play in the end. I thought he was brilliant as an 8. I thought Enzo transformed the guy. I saw him striding to the touchline, putting crosses in. I saw him scoring goals. I saw him linking up with Fatawu. Then I saw him, and 30 seconds later, he's making tackles. He was kind of here, there, and everywhere. He was playing like a box-to-box 8 role that I didn't think he had the attacking capability to do.
Yeah.
So I thought I saw a brilliant player. And at times this season, particularly up until he got that injury for a rude second game at the Brighton game. He got injured after 56 minutes, I think it was. I've got a good memory, me. 56 minutes he got injured against the Brighton game. I thought Wolf was brilliant. Under Cooper, he was playing as a 10. And
the thing is, nobody's going to question that, don't you? I mean, I thought it was 57. I'm sorry, I disagree with you.
You can check. You can go back and check if you're really pedantic. But Wilfred Ndidi was our top assist maker this season. He's a defensive midfielder, and most of the season he was playing DM. He's still our top assist maker this season. More assists than Bilal, more assists than anyone else you want to think of. Wilfred Ndidi. He, at the back end of the season, the last 5, maybe 10 games, I thought his form dipped. But I think his form dipped because we were already gone. And he's like, look, I've been busting my... I think that guy's been working his backside off for this club since the minute he came in. He's caused 0 issues in 9 years off the pitch. He's never been caught with any girls or caught drinking or caught causing any kind of issue. He's been a brilliant liaison for other African players. You see, they coalesce around him. Him and Kelechi had a special relationship. He's had a good relationship with Abdul at the moment. So I think this guy he's been with us 9 years, and quite frankly, I think he's not Vardy level in terms of love and the rest of it, but we didn't even give the guy a send-off, and I think that's so sad. He played in the Champions League for us. He won the FA Cup with us. He's done so much. He got promoted with us again. He stayed. He could have gone. He didn't. He stayed. He could have gone on a free. People say, no, well, they weren't offering us as much money as us. No, but do you know what? Do you want to stay at Leicester for 80 grand a week, or do you want to go to Seville for 60 grand a week?
Yeah.
Adios, Leicester. I'm going to the sunshine.
I was just going to say hi to Blue Tinted Glasses. Lox has popped in here. Guys, if you haven't checked that channel out, Manny's on that channel, Lox's channel, Blue Tinted Glasses. Do go and check it out. I'm very surprised. I mean, it's actually 10:20. Shouldn't you be in bed by now, Lox? I thought you had to be in bed for 9 o'clock. The other half, doesn't she give you a bedtime?
Past curfew.
I know. Anyway, no, hi, Lox, how are you doing? Look, remember a young player called Riyad Mahrez?
Yep.
Do you remember how many players we attempted to replace him with?
A lot.
And I think it was Claude Puel. Do you remember which one he brought in to try and replace him?
Rashid Ghazal?
Right, it wasn't Claude Puel then. Can you name any other?
Cengiz Under was brought in on loan. Cengiz Under, do you remember the Turkish lad was brought in on loan?
Go before that.
I think we tried Lookman once before that. Before that we tried Ghazal. Who else was right wing? I can't remember now. A series of... We tried Eunice Atkin for a bit in the
If
Championship.
I
We
give you
tried
his
that.
initials,
Go
you
on.
see,
That'll
he
help
may
me.
know 56 minutes, guys, but he's not going to hear. The initials are FB. FD, sorry, FD.
FD Roosevelt. FD. Why am I being a plonker here, Chris? FD. What am I thinking of? My mind's gone blank. Help me out. Oh.
Diabate.
Oh, Fuseni Diabate. Do you know
Yes.
what? I thought he had some talent.
No, well,
I
because he's got
did.
a couple against Peterborough in the Mickey Mouse Cup.
No, you know what it is? It's the way. It's not what you do. It's the way you do it. It's the way you do it. And I think his problem was he was a bit skinny and he probably wasn't physical enough. But again, he's one of these fast twitch players that I go on about, and you can get your fast twitch T-shirts at the Blue Tinted Glasses shop anytime soon. And a lot of the proceeds come straight to me. So do it. But
Yeah, that's the B&Q moment,
like
guys.
that, there's
The
my little plug for the day.
shameless plug. There you go.
I had to
No,
get that
fair.
in. I know Lux is watching, so I've got to get that plug in because I think we're going to
Yeah.
have a bet about who sells the most T-shirts. But
Apparently he
actually,
joined the Celtic.
well,
But he could do well there because no
I, I,
disrespect.
I am look. Like I said, I'm openly admitting a 1.8 million pound player. That is the kind of player I would have signed, and I'm still trying to sign today. Now, not every one of these is going to work out. A big clue is the fact that he likes to dye his hair purple, which would suggest the guy's not all
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But with a football at his feet, his close control is good. He's good over the first 2 or 3 meters with the ball at him. He can beat a man. He can actually distribute and play pace. He might not have shape, attitude, defensive ability, robustness, strength. So he's missing a lot of characteristics. But there are parts of this boy's game that I always liked.
I'll just leave that there. I'll
Leave
just
it
leave
there.
that hanging. Yeah, I'll leave that hanging. Couple of players we're being linked with now. This one, look, he's playing in Turkey. He's been released. He has had most of last season. He was out injured. Makes him a perfect signing for Leicester, then, doesn't it? But apparently Leeds are also after the op. Again, this is the Yorkshire Post. Leeds United make offer to sign ex-Liverpool midfielder, also eyed by Leicester. And EFL said Leicester City submit contract offer for him. Why are Leicester part of the NHS? And I've been living down south. I've kind of forgotten, that I've missed this story or something. Because unless you're injured, I don't think we sign people, do we?
We're Charity FC. We love to give these old guys, a
Yes.
big fat contract. Come over here, have a payday, get injured, sit on the bench for 3 years. Ryan Bertrand, Yannick Vestergaard, Connor
Yeah. Oh,
Cody.
no.
Come on, boys.
I'm going
You
to
know
hang
what?
myself.
You know what? Someone's sitting there thinking, do you know what? I think I've just been watching Sky Sports, and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is a good player. You're watching highlights from 2013. 2013. You're not watching a live game. This is a repeat of an old game.
Yeah.
Again, like if you go to the Blue Tinted Glasses X handle, the Lox has already clipped up me talking about the Ox. We spoke about him in January because Leicester were linked with him in the January transfer window. This is an easy one to avoid. I mean, you don't have to have half a brain to understand why you avoid this one. He's always injured. He's on big money. He's slow. He hasn't been good for about 5-6 years. And then if he comes into the team, he'll block the development of a young guy. So do you think Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is going to be 31, bring us up, and then keep us up in the Premier League? Don't be silly.
I don't want him. I honestly don't
You'd be
want
mad
him.
to get that. You'd be insane to get this guy. It would just be another big albatross around our neck. Let's compound the problems by signing more overpriced,
Yeah.
oversized, overaged rubbish. Like
Yeah.
he was a brilliant player when he was younger. He was brilliant at Arsenal. He still had a tiny bit of ability at Liverpool, but he hasn't been a good player for 8 years or something like that.
I wouldn't say he was. I wouldn't go that
He was
high
good
on
at
the.
Arsenal. He was good at Arsenal. He had
He was
talent that way.
decent, but
Yeah.
and then didn't he get
Injury.
injured and
Injury.
go on a World Cup thing or something, and he got injured with England,
He
or
was unlucky with injuries. To be fair, again, he's a player like Kieran Dyer. Do you remember Kieran Dyer? You know,
yeah, I do.
you need,
Yeah,
you need that speed. You know, and
yeah,
as soon as you get those injuries and you lose the speed, we mentioned Fernando Torres, we mentioned Michael Owen, I think we mentioned a bit of Jack Wilshere. You know, these are guys who are fast twitch fibre players. The downside with fast twitch fibre players, which I don't often speak about, but there is a downside, is if you get injuries and lose your fast twitches, you're not the same player ever again.
well, I think that's possibly the third time we've agreed tonight, out of about 20. But no, this is one that we should avoid like the plague. And I think we're buying the name rather than the player for me. Um,
Somebody out there, if these rumours are true, which I have my doubts, I think this is probably more like agent talk. Oh,
yeah,
Leicester
yeah,
interested,
yeah,
so
yeah.
someone else will give you a contract. Because I don't believe we'd be daft enough to actually sign this player. But let's suppose,
Hang
for
on,
the
hang
sake
on.
of
I
it,
was going to reckon at 1 minute 26, we would not be daft enough.
I know, you can note that, can't you? Yeah. But let's
Yeah,
assume that we are daft enough, right, to consider the player. If that is the case, then somebody in the boardroom or somebody in the recruitment team is saying, you know what, good player, he's got a good attitude because him and his dad have a brilliant attitude. By the way, his dad was a solid player. His
yeah.
dad's bright guy, great attitude, and he's quite a bright lad. The same great, but it's just the injuries. You don't buying old injured players. You're getting that team, the Turkish team, out of Stuck. They're stuck with him on an
Mm.
overpriced contract. They're happy to let him go. Like we're trying to get rid of our Deadwood in Vestergaard and others. What you don't want to do is take other people's Deadwood.
No, no, but he would fit in very nicely age-wise with AU and Dakova Reed, of course.
With OAPFC, he fits right
Yeah,
in.
exactly. The last one, because we've got Ranieri, but we did speak about Ranieri earlier. This was a guy. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't think I am. That we were linked with a few seasons ago,
Oh,
and I
this is Fotis
in on this.
Ioannidis.
Yes,
Ioannidis.
That's it. Yeah,
Oh my,
we
oh
we
yeah.
were linked with him
I
before,
know this
weren't
guy. We were linked with him. Oh, I know about this guy. We linked with him last summer. He's at Panathinaikos. He had a good season, not last season, but the year before. I think he banged in 20 odd goals, quite a few in the Europa League. I think it was, or it might be the Conference League, one of the Mickey Mouse European competitions.
we?
And he got hot for one season, and then we were linked with him for 25 million plus. And in my early days of streaming, we were still being linked with him. Took a look at him. I thought he was crap, absolute crap. That's what I thought. And it's on in the days of Foss Hubble, the early days of Blue Tinted Glasses. I think it was more Foss Hub, to be honest. But when we did speak about him, it was I analysed this guy. I thought he was a poor player. I think you don't sign Greek players. Greek players don't translate well to the Premier League. I know we might remember Theo Zagorakis.
I was about to mention
I
him.
know
Yeah.
you're going to. He scored that banger at United, and Theo was solid, 750 grand, I think he was. But he was a
Mm.
Greek captain at the time. But
Yeah.
there's plenty of Greek failures in the league. Nikos Dabisas is about the only one who's worked ever.
Mm.
No other players have ever translated for whatever reason. Also, that Greek league's pretty poor and very dodgy. Very, very dodgy league, that one. You can't trust the stats. You can't trust the teams. But if you trust your eyes, he's not good enough in the first place. And I mean, to me, he looks like a £3-4 million player at best. And people are talking about 25 and 30. If you buy this guy for any kind of money, it's not going to work. I'll tell you now, it's not going to work. But if you actually spend large amounts of money, you're doing a Patson Daka again. You know, he scored had one good season in the foreign league, and you think he's the answer. This kid is not the answer. Avoid, avoid, avoid.
4 times we agree. Then I was just quickly trying to get his figures up there.
I
Uh,
think last time I checked, honestly, in his first 12 games this season, he scored one goal. I know that much.
yeah,
So I remember pointing out to Ragsy, who comes on to Blue Tinted Glasses and came on, does Foss Hub sometimes. I pointed because he was very pro this player, and I just wanted to rub it in. I told you to avoid this guy. I think his last season was absolutely terrible.
yeah. I remember looking at it and thinking, not brilliant stats at all. It was. I wasn't blown away by them.
I'm never concerned about the stats. Just watch. as many clips of him as you can, and don't just. It's not just the highlight clips. You need to see games. When you see him off the ball and things like that. You're never going to see off the ball work in an highlights package. So you accumulate as much video you can about a player, and then you make your mind up about him. Touch, okay, not great. Speed, not very quick. He's quite big and strong, so he could probably hold the ball up a little bit, but that doesn't suit the way that I want to play it anyway. Scoring record one off season, okay, couldn't repeat it in any others. That's a red flag when somebody has
Yeah.
a spike in stats, and then reverts to normal. This is a player you avoid. This is a one off season. He had a year of his life, and he might have one or two odd moments, but he's not a consistent performer. You can't sign him. Certainly not for big money.
No, and when I say stats, to my mind, we are talking striker. And the one thing I want to see is, and this, I don't know if I've got it here, this was sort of a quote over like 3 seasons as to how many. Oh, yeah, here we go. Let me just see what it said. And I'm just thinking, is this the man that's going to get us loads of goals? 20 million apparently is what we could get it for, but
Mental.
he's played 185 times for
He's
Panathinaikos.
probably scored like 45 goals in 185.
51.
Yeah,
51.
yeah. Do you know what? I didn't have a clue, but I can tell you,
Yeah.
by my eyes, by the quality of the player, he's a roughly 1 in 4 striker.
Yeah.
So if you're telling me roughly 200 games, then it's roughly 50 goals.
Yeah.
That's it meets the eye test.
Yeah. I'm looking at that and I'm thinking that's not good enough for a striker to pay.
In the Greek league.
Yeah.
If you want to be good enough from the Greek league to come in that, in 185 games, you probably need to be scoring like 140, 150 goals in that
Yeah.
league. In that league, like players like Luis Suarez, who came over from the Eredivisie in Holland, he was getting 33, 34, 35 in that league.
Yeah.
You need to, in those poorer leagues, you need to be doing not even Pats and Daka 20 and 20 kind of thing. You need to be going crazy numbers.
I was just going to say, this is another Patson Daka almost, isn't it? I
It
mean,
is.
Fiorentina are interested in him. They'll
That
only go.
surprises me.
Yeah, but well, again, you don't know how true these things are, but
Of course.
they won't go over 12 million, and that's not meeting Piano Kaitos, and I can't say
That probably
Valuation.
tells you more what
Yeah.
other people think his value is. I think I would price him up at 5,
Well,
6.
two other clubs are also interested
4.
in him from the UK: Southampton
Yeah.
and Crystal Palace. So let's hope he fancies the Premier League.
Well, I mean, Palace. I quite like their whoever does their scouting. I think they're quite bright. I think they're signing people like Elise, Eze. I love Eze so much. Mateta. I'm a player I wanted for us when he was on the bench for Roy Hodgson. He was young, he was French, he's big, he was strong, he had a good first touch, he can move the ball on. He's raw. Another one of these raw players. They're quite cute. So I actually think maybe I need to have a second look at him if someone like Palace is interested. But everybody makes mistakes, and Palace bought Nketiah for 30 million quid. So whoever's been tasked with replacing Mateta, because that's probably what they're trying to do.
Yeah, yeah.
If you thought Nketiah was the answer, then maybe you're the same guy who thinks this kid's the answer, because I don't see it. Nketiah for me is a terrible footballer, and this guy's another terrible footballer.
Well, it's come from Corriere dello Sport.
Corriere dello Sport. That's the biggest newspaper in Italy. Biggest sports newspaper in Italy.
Right, well, that's where it's come from.
That is ultra reliable, that newspaper.
Right.
Ultra reliable.
Apparently, Fiorentina have tried to sign him before a few times. And apparently, it says Palace, Southampton, Leicester have made initial approaches for the 25-year-old.
Well, let's hope somebody gets the fortune of his services and it's not us, because
Yes.
my eyes, which, dare I say, Chris, are extremely reliable when it comes to footballers.
Yeah.
Extremely. Lox is probably sitting there laughing because I say it to him all the time. I never get players wrong. And I don't. Because he's been all season, and I'll tell you, I haven't got one wrong this season in his first year of knowing me.
Well, I'm off to look at that guy that you recommended earlier. I haven't had
Have a look at him. I promise you, you'll have a look at him and you'll think, do you know what? Off stream, like I said, I've got 30 guys. I can find you a striker. He's in my spreadsheet. I've got 10 strikers in my spreadsheet. 2 of them are loan possibilities. 8 of them are permanents. I think everything is less than 20 million. And I think every single one of those is a better player than this lad.
Like I said, we'll have to stop agreeing. It's becoming a bit of a habit, this. But yes, I did not. I'm not. For
Doesn't
me,
fit. Doesn't
no,
fit.
no,
This, I mean,
no.
again, I don't want to go off on one too much today. This is probably for another time when I go into. But there are certain, when it comes to recruiting, there is a certain target list of foreign countries that you want to give priority to over others. Like you're not
Yeah,
going to find, you're not going to find, you're not likely to find a super footballer from Chad, the country of Chad, but one of its neighbours, Mali, you
yeah,
probably might find a decent player. So if you can understand why some countries are good and some countries aren't good, that even within the football environment of Europe, there are some countries in Europe that you probably say, Sweden, yeah, not bad. Norway, not bad. Denmark, all similar Scandinavia, but you wouldn't go to Finland for a player necessarily. It's within that framework, and there's not been many hits from certain countries.
yeah.
Greece is one of those countries where they when they totally inspired, and I've got quite a few Greek friends, and they are full of fire and passion. They're funny as hell. They're really good banter, great crack, love their football. When they everything works in perfect unity, which it does once every 1,000 years, they can achieve something unbelievable. Whether it's ancient Greece and the Acropolis, or it's the Euros in 2004,
I was just, yeah, yeah.
they
I
when it
did,
gets together they can do it, but most of the time in between them, it's not the temperament, it's not the attitude, it's not the adjustment. Coming from Greece to the UK is very different, lifestyle's very different, attitude, the football's very different. This is not a country that has a proven track record of supplying winners to this country.
and look at him. Look at that picture there. He can't even do a decent Jamie Vardy impersonation, can he?
uh, well,
I
do you
tell
know
you
what?
what.
Actually, the Greeks are probably you'll probably find a few Jamie Vardy attitudes amongst them.
I tell you one thing you can get in Malawi as well, and that's children. Just ask Madonna. Oh, oh,
I
Manny.
won't touch that one.
No, 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 no. Let's not, shall we? Let's not. Manny, thank you very much. Look, blue tinted glasses, like we said, you're over there regularly. Do go over there and check it out. I'm sure most of the people that watch me are already subscribed to you anyway. But if you're not, get over there and subscribe to blue tinted
And
glasses.
tonight I've given you one recommendation, Musa Baraji's in the comments. Have a look. I'll tell you what, if you can comment on this video
Mm,
and let me know what you think of the lad.
will do.
24 years old from Mali, rated at 2 million. He'd probably cost 3 or 4 million. Have a look what you can find for 3 or 4 million quid out there.
The problem I've got is, and I don't want to get into because I want to sort of round it up now, but
Yeah.
I just don't trust Rude to make any proper signings.
It's nothing. The manager should never have a say in the signing. The manager works with what we give him. Should be the way forward because the
Yeah,
manager changes all the time.
yeah.
What that does mean is the people who select the players have to know exactly what they're doing. Exactly what they're doing.
Give the club a call, Manny. That's what I say.
I've got hey, if you I've got my spreadsheet. It looks pretty tasty to me, and there's always room for expansion on it. And I've got a list of target. I think I've got a list of about 25 target countries around the world. That it's a combination of physical requirements. It's a combination of mental requirements in terms of attitude and humility and things like that. A combination of cheap wages, high ceiling, essentially a low risk value proposal with a good chance of a very good high return. I've come up with a list of countries, I've gone through all their junior teams. I've found players that you and I have never heard of in our life, but I tell you what, watch some clips of some of these young lads out there. Kids today in football, whether it's Lamine Yamal at 17 or Doué from PSG, who I think is absolutely stunning. Kids are ruling football, and thank God we got Jeremy Mongo to
Yes,
represent in that area.
indeed, indeed. Mate, have a good weekend.
Cheers, mate.
Thank
Thank you very
you
much for
very
having me
much.
on.
We'll have you
All the
back
best,
on again
everyone.
soon, obviously. All the
Night
best,
night.
mate.
Bye
Take
bye.
care. Bye bye. Bye bye. All right. Oh, let me just. No, that's Manny again. I'm here, everybody. Don't go away. Um, I might have to do it like that. Oh no, there we go. I can do it like that. Thanks so much to Manny. That was the back pages. Hopefully Mark's going to be back next week. Do go, as I say, go and check Blue Tinted out. And thanks very much. maybe we won't have quite so much news next week to do. Maybe we'll have some managerial news. We won't, will we? I'm being stupid. Even I don't believe that. But there we go. You never know. So thanks very much, guys. If you've been watching, thank you very much for joining in the chat. Go and check that player out that Manny said. If you've been watching on catch up, add your thoughts in the chat below. And if you've been listening via your favourite podcast platform, thank you very much for lending me your ears. I'm back on, unless anything happens, I'm back on Monday, and I will see you then. Have a good weekend, everybody. Take care. Good night.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.